All right, guys, did you enjoy that? And don't worry, we'll talk more about analogies and metaphors and all these things in much more detail so you can develop that skill more fully. This is kind of a warm-up phase, right? So the next thing, I'm going to actually give you two little influence tricks at the same time, partly because one of them you can't really do so well on the fly. It needs a context to do it properly. It'll make more sense. But you can use both, and if the situation arises, you can just throw the second one in there as well, right? The first one I call the value challenge. If you know someone's value in terms of why they're here and what it's doing them, for example, the enjoying life and so on, you can simply challenge them if they resist something or if you're having problems getting through or getting some kind of a agreement. You can challenge them on their value. You can challenge them on their reason for being there. Does that make sense? Right? So, for example, in the customer services desk, you can always ask him, look, can I just ask you, what is the purpose of, what's your job function? Why do you answer calls? It's to help people. So your job is to help customers, is that right? Yes. So I'm asking for your help right now. How helpful are you being? Think about it. I've asked you for this, this, and this. You can't do anything. All I'm asking for you is for your help, and that's what you do, isn't it? Do you see what you're doing here? You're challenging them on the very value they presented to you. But it's important that you get the value first, and you lock it in before you challenge them on it. Does that make sense to you guys? So it's not something you necessarily practice in this kind of live environment here because you'll have to set up the whole value exchange and so on. If you want to, and you can think of something, a context that fits, very quickly say to them, you're this and this, ask a quick question like I did with the customer service thing, and then challenge them on the value, and they'll be like, uncomfortable, right? Two very important things on that. Number one, when someone's being uncomfortable, it's the most common response that people have is to want to take the pressure off them. Say, look, don't worry, it's okay. Don't do that. The pressure is the very thing that creates change, that creates some kind of extra thing. The best thing to happen at that point is to be silent. Now, if they're silent for too long, in other words, it starts turning a little bit more gloomy, shall we say, you can kind of feel the atmosphere changing a little bit, then you have to step in and give them an out, and the out, of course, is to assist you in some way, right? In the customer service example might be, for example, to put you through to the boss or someone who can actually deal with the situation. You might start throwing out some suggestions of, look, isn't there something you can go along these lines, along these lines, along these lines? Because I know you want to help me. I can tell you want to help me. Of course they do now because they feel that pressure and they know how to release it. Does that make sense? But you want that pressure to build up because often they'll just present a solution if you're silent. And if you're not silent, it can help them take the pressure off because now they've got something to fight against. If they have pressure and you're saying, well, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, now they feel pressure on the inside and pressure on the outside. They know how to deal with pressure on the outside. It's by saying no. And by saying no, of course, they're relieving their own internal pressure too because they're dealing with both pressures at the same time. Does that kind of make sense? So, if you ask, doing a value challenge, either remain silent, let the pressure build, until either they respond with a solution or an offer of some sort, and then you can work with that. Or, if it starts turning a bit sour because they've been feeling that pressure too long, it's a feeling thing you'll get, it's a fine-tuning thing you'll get. Then you present them with options or general possibilities so they can start selecting or getting more creative about how they can help you or assist you or do whatever it is you've asked for them. Does that make sense to you guys? So the first one clear, the value challenge. Do you like it, by the way? It's good. The second one is to work with purpose. It's similar to the idea of value. You're basically going to ask people, what is their intention, what's their purpose for whatever behavior is or the resistance is, right? Let me give you some classic examples. In a hypnotherapy office, why are people there? Well, they're there to change, right? So then you can start finding other ways that they can do that. Now, all behaviors are driven by a purpose. They're trying to achieve something, right? Let's say someone's being really nasty, or they're being unpleasant in a meeting with you. You can call them out in public, well, that's a little bit harsher, or you can pull them out in private and say, listen, I notice you keep doing this in the meetings. Can I just ask, what's this all about? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to get? Oh, I think it's important that people hear the other side too. Great. So to the extent that we make sure people hear both sides, can we get on with the meeting in a more smooth manner? Sure. Now you can start negotiating about other ways of doing that. For example, you could have a meeting where you say, okay, here's all the options. Now we'll turn to Harry for the opposite view. Thank you very much for the opposite view, Harry. Let's carry on. Right now it's contained within an agreement frame rather than just constantly chipping away at whatever it is you're suggesting. Does that make sense to you guys? So when you get resistance, as you go around now, you can actually practice this. Ask for a favor, then you get resistance. Ask for the purpose. What's that about? It's only a simple favor, so clearly there's something else that's going on. What is that? And he goes, oh, I feel like I've been doing too much, right? Or, I don't know, it seems like a lot of effort. Oh, I get it. So we can make it easier for you if you know brainer to do the favor, right? Sure. Right. In that case, you can explore, well, do you realize when I ask for a glass of water, I just mean from that tank right over there whilst I'm fixing this. I don't mean you to go out to the store, down the street, get in your car, drive, get me a big bottle of water, polish it up, freeze it, put ice cubes in, get me a nice... We don't need any of that. Just grab me a glass of water over there whilst I finish this so I can focus on what I'm doing here. Do you see how you're just taking care of the intention straight away? Does that make sense? Everyone clear on the value challenge and getting the purpose so you can create a new behavior out of the end of that? Or a new conclusion from that? All right, guys, give that a go.